Welcome to this segment of Soul, Silence, and Sound. This is brought to you by BeSimply.
Stars, trees, clouds, and the moon. They all have a meaning and they look just like you.
Welcome to the segment of Soul, Silence, and Sound. This is brought to you by BeSimply, and I am Suzanne, and I want to thank each and every one of you for listening in and creating a pause so that you can receive a little Dharma, Suzanne style, a silent meditation, and some sound balancing for your electromagnetic system. So with that being said, this lunar cycle is closing out in this next week. And we really are, with that full moon energy, this is a time to harness the sun's energy as you move forward. And embracing change and creating change require focus and discipline and forward motion. Also, sometimes surfing simultaneously, because there oftentimes are unexpected shifts in dynamics in our inner world and our outer world. And if inspired, I would really encourage you to create that pause to really remind yourself where you're focused, where you want to be focused. Because what can happen even just internally as our emotions shift from one moment to the next, day to day, that can distract us from continuing to stay in forward motion and tending to the garden in a way that you can grow the crops that you really want to. And right now, as we've talked about, that can be difficult, especially with a lot of the dissonance that's created out in that world of the digital realm that we're in right now. So just to make sure that now more than ever, it's important that you stay focused when you enter those realms and when you're in the physical world doing what you do. And I'll equate this. Some people will know what I'm talking about. And those of you that are from a generation that doesn't know, but this is kind of like going to the Rolodex or the Filodex in the library or the Yellow Pages. Yellow Pages are a phone book that you would have and look up local businesses and they would advertise and you would call and see what they had to offer. Now we have such ease to be able to look, search, and discover via the technology, which is super handy. Yet there creates a distraction. So you can imagine if you're in the library and you're looking for a book on quilting, you go to one device to find out where that would be, and then you might narrow it down through an index search, or you might talk to the librarian. There's all these levels of communication that help you get to where you need to go. Similar to like if you're in the bookstore, they'll lead you to the area that you might want to read fiction, sci-fi, cookbooks, that kind of thing. So our focus gets very tight in those locations, and it makes it a little bit more effortless, really, even though the system isn't as instant. The same as if you were looking for a phone number, you looked in a book that had all the businesses in your area, and then you go through this communication process by calling the businesses, stopping by, and it's a much more organic way of doing things. And the reason I bring this up is because right now we have this high-speed interface that isn't always correct and creates distraction and might create an overburden of information for you to digest. In addition, now it's being shown that the server rooms for AI in particular require a lot of cooling, which I remembered from my architecture days is yes, those server rooms need to be kept cool, which creates energy pool, not just from you interfacing with them, but from everyone interfacing. And that's why in some cities you might know that could be brownouts because it gets hot and everyone's interfacing with that infrastructure, depending how it's designed, and pulling away from the energy that is precious, and your energy is precious. So if we we look at these examples of how we can be using our energy, how we can interface, and then how they can be authentic, meaning organic, where you get to touch, feel, and it's not so mechanical. The nice part about this, if we start to think about what you want to create, especially at this moment in this microcosm, finishing out this lunar cycle, and then we go into the transition into summer and winter frequencies. So this precession is where you really want to anchor in that creation energy. If you're in the northern hemisphere, and if you're in the southern hemisphere, this is the time where you gather this creation energy, but it's incubation. Think of being in the womb and being in your sacred retreat or repose. So we're migrating to this juxtaposition. And oftentimes, as the fire energy is increasing and the water energy is increasing, we can get distracted because there's so many options to create. There's so many things to be in repose with. And that's where I'm really encouraging each and every one of you to think about where you want to pause, anchor in, and move forward with. We've had this very dynamic spring energy and fall energy that are leading us in this direction. So what that means on a practical level is, if you think about, you have so much energy to utilize every single day, that if you can start thinking about, what do I want to create? What's this new path that's rising? And how do I want to use my energy efficiently, sacredly, and with a mindfulness that gets you to contribute the way you want to within yourself and to the outside world. And I would venture to guess that the dissonance that can be caused by these artificial means can actually cause you to use more energy, because you get all this, it's like drinking from a water hose. You get all this information, and then your mind isn't prepared for that feed that fast. And then you have to siphon through it, where if you slow down and start to listen and be like, okay, what do I need? Kind of like when you go to the grocery store, what do I need? And you doing that with your organic system, not the inorganic system. And so as a society, we're going to start to learn where this is useful and where this is not, and how to balance it, because it's here, but we also have to learn from our ancestors' past mistakes, because there were times here in this earth plane where technology was more prevalent, and then it got pushed too far and we had to close that out, sunset, as one company will say, sunset that, and then reemerge. So for you in this moment, I really encourage you, all that being said, is to think about how you want to create with the precision you want to create. And if you look at from a monk standpoint, in a Tibetan monk in particular, they create sand mandalas, and those mandalas are very intricate, and there's a focus, and every grain they lay has a prayer as they stay in precision with it. And then when they're finished with their mandala, they will scatter it to the wind, they'll let it go. And the beautiful analogy here is that a masterpiece is created right before your eyes. If inspired after this, you can go look up a Tibetan sand mandala. That's all done with their hands. Yes, they do lightly graph out certain things, but you go try to lay sand precisely on a board and see what happens. And that focus, that mindfulness in that moment creates something so beautiful. Plus, there is not only just the mindfulness when placing the sand, there's all these other mechanisms of prayer and divinity and holding this field of energy that can serve not only the moment, but goes out into the ether. So at this juxtaposition, this is what we're being asked. How do we want to create? And how do we want to do that from moment to moment? And what does the result yield to all of us? Because it's quite different. It's quite different. And then when you allow yourself in that creation process, rather than overtly relying on an inorganic system to support your creation process, this will give you such rich moments of communication with other organic beings, aka humans. And that interface for you, where you get to take your precious energy from your physical temple and place it into something that carries an imprint. And unlike the ether and these digital realms, all of that can be wiped out in an instant. And much like the sand mandala, it just goes away. And then, what's left? Is there a wooden chair carved out? Are there memories of all the things that were in that digital space? Or are there things that can keep going in the organic physical space that serve not only yourself, but others? And what this looks like from the inside to the outside world is that when we take the time to create from the inside out, and we allow that organic energy that's eternal, not just to this world system, is that we start to carve out paths that we couldn't even imagine, because we're willing to explore and to examine and try things and see what happens, versus working from an inorganic system that is more consensus based and oftentimes manipulated. Because remember, there's a veil we can't completely see beyond these inorganic systems, like the computer, like the phone, like the AI search engines. There are objectives behind that veil that most humans don't understand. And there are definitely some scripts there that are directing the humans, us, in a certain way. So when you step back and just take a pause to contemplate that, because each one of you are so precious, and you have this ability to create in a way that is useful, not only for your inner landscape, but your outer landscape and the world around you. And just because the world is going in one trajectory, there are new paths that are emerging that are very different than the one we're seeing at our fingertips in the phones. And so as you go into this phase, this migration, as we come up into the next new moon cycle with the solar energy, because your solar energy is your flow, it's your creation, it's the extension of your water, it's the extension of your creation energy. And really think about, how do I want to flow? What's my rhythm? And do I even interface as fast as these machines that are being put at our fingertips? And that's a deep question all of humanity is best to ask right now. And then from there, how do you integrate? We may not completely be able to separate from it. If you wanted to, you might be able to. Or how do you integrate it in a way that is mindful and aware and conscious of the resources and the potential control over your mind and your soul that interface is having. And it could seem innocent, like many things can, but then there's a slippery slope. And the reason I bring this up right now is because these veils continue to fall as humanity continues to go through the awakening. And like anything, someone can have wonderful intentions or not so wonderful intentions that misdirect many things that eventually can be harmful. And that's why I've mentioned in the past that, our efforts have 7 generations of an impact. And right now, collectively, we've all been asked to do some deep, powerful inner work, not only for ourselves, but for our ancestors and our generations to come. And this is a key one, that how do you choose to create, and what path are you ready to emerge on? And from there, it doesn't have to be and. It could be either. It could be and or. It doesn't have to be black or white. It can be many variations. However, the important part is that you just really understand, how do you want to create in this moment, and where your soul is calling you to create. I encourage you to create from there and see what it is. It might be a meritage. And from there, your inner world will start to evolve and transform. And there's certain imprints that will stay with you on your eternal path. And that's the key. I don't want anyone to think that, you can just have a machine do something for you and you don't have to put effort towards it. You can, I guess, in some cases, but the objective on our eternal journey is to refine and to gather. This is why people migrate. This is why people travel around the world, because they're seeking knowledge and information that not only enriches maybe the life and the things they're destined to do, but enriches their eternal soul. And I think every one of you, if you pause for a moment right now, maybe we do that, is just to think about all the wisdom you've gathered from experience, physical experience, not by reading a bunch of information and processing it and emulating things, but really by digesting it and being with it. It's like when I work with people with plants, and whether it's for them personally or if they're learning to utilize herbs and cooking and alchemy in their life or their business, it's important to have a relationship with that. We can regurgitate information, but that doesn't mean that you have a relationship. And that's where that alchemical word is so important, especially in creation and opening up new pathways, is that when we have a relationship and an exchange, a balanced exchange with something, it will start to take on deeper and deeper meanings that one cannot imagine at face value. It's like your parents teaching you how to say thank you and please. When you start to deepen those words, you understand that, and you see and you witness, there's so much more richness to just the word thank you and how you can honor it. So I'm encouraging you all in this moment just to really take some time to see where you want to create from. And there's a new path that's being opened up for all of us right now. A very significant epoch for humanity, not just in this lunar cycle, but on a grander scale. And so committing to that pathway and really making sure it feels aligned with your soul. And how you can know that it doesn't feel aligned with your soul is you will start to feel like you're wrestling with yourself inside. You will start to see friction. And that's where you want to take a pause for yourself and really be conscious, not from fear or scarcity or depression, anxiety, doubt. You don't want to be making those knee-jerk decisions. You really want to say, okay, where do I want to create from? And what does that mean? And what do I need? What palette do I need in my paint box so that I can move forward on this path and stay true to it? And sometimes that's hard because can be difficult to, hard meaning it takes a level of courage to really commit to your path, because there can be so many things in the outside world distracting you from it. Very much to bring this full circle. If you just need to look up a mechanic and you go to your yellow pages and you open up the mechanic section, you have choices and you're staying focused on that task. Similar to the creation path, these new paths we're opening, to really own it. It's too easy in this epoch right now that's diminishing to pivot left, right, and center, discard things that don't work, all those things. And really, we're entering that era of mastery. And that mastery, it's to be patient with it, not to say that we won't have to adapt with it, but to really own where you're going. And so that might be you're really owning becoming an artist. You're really owning becoming a farmer. You're really owning that you do want to step onto the futuristic path versus someone that really wants to step onto further into the organic path, because we migrated out of that path and now we're returning. There's a lot of signs we're returning to that, but there will be a little bit of a separation, and then I'm sure there's some middle ground for that too. There always is. So as we go into this meditation, I just want you to let all that sift away, and I want you to really for a moment, just connect into your heart, because this is what's going to lead us as we migrate into fire and water in the near future, is really to anchor into your heart and feel into how you want to create in this moment, no matter where you are on the earth plane. And just take that simple concept as we move into the meditation. And so let the rest just fall, sift away. And then gently from there, I want you to take a nice gentle breath in and out. Again, inhale. And exhale. Another one, inhale. And exhale. And then gently from there, as you breathe in and out, just start to observe your breath as you flow into this silent meditation. Gently from there, I welcome you to gently lean back and recline or move fully into Shavasana, a prone position on your back with your palms facing upward as we transition into receiving sound. As you settle in, just take a nice gentle breath into the heart and out. Again, inhale. And exhale. And one more inhale. And exhale. And then continue to follow your natural breathing pattern.
Doje Yongi Yongi Nye Ahi Doje Yongi 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 Nye Yongi 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 Doje Ane Ne Ane Ram O Ane Ai Ane Ane Am Ane Ane Am Anondo Ane Ai Ane Ane Om Ano Ane Ai Ane Ane Ram Ane Ane Ram Adodo Ane Je Ai Ane Ane Om Ado Ane Ai Ane Ane Om Ane Ane Om Adodo Ane Alam Ane Ane Om Ado Ane Ai Ane Ane Om Ane
Taking a soft, gentle breath, breathing in and out. Gently breathing in and out. Again, inhale. And exhale. Good. One more inhale. And exhale. And then gently from there, as you continue to breathe in and out, welcoming you just to be for a moment and to give gratitude for all that you are, and to send any gratitude out beyond here to a person, people, or place. And as you just bring your awareness back to your three-dimensional reality, I want you to just take a moment in this transition back into your everyday life, just to be open to see how you want to create. And you might even, over the next few days from whenever you're listening to this, just to see the signs from the universe showing you where to put your attention, where to create, and to really align your solar energy, your fire, your Agni, your inner life force with that new path. And that new path is for each and every one of you. It's unique to you. And collectively, all of our choices are defining these pathways that are opening up. And there isn't just one path. There's many paths, and that's always been the case, happening simultaneously, because we truly are multidimensional beings having a perceptual, physical experience right in this moment. So as you move forward, I want you just to think about that, where you want to create, where you want to place your attention, and how organic do you want it to remain? How inorganic do you want it to remain? Or do you want a blend of the two? And how are you going to manage that? See what signs come up, and that'll really help you. And then also look for any inner friction. That's a sign that your soul, your wisdom keeper, your highest expression is kind of saying, it's kind of like Buddha with the stick. Maybe you should think about that before you agree to that. So as we move forward, I want you to remember that you matter, to continue to create space for your inner well-being that will permeate out into the outer world. And from there, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. I want to thank Dante Marino, Kadri Scott, Random Rab for your contributions in your own ways. And until next time, we're going to X out with a little Kadri Scott. This is Suzanne signing out with a full heart, soft gaze, a deep bow, and a namaste. Be simply.
Yeah, something changed. It'll feel so strange now. And if you show what remains, I will never say no. And like a river flows, my love remains. And I'm not ready to let go. So please just stay. Jasmine, to know